I never thought when we walked into that police station that he would end up being in prison for 17 and a half years now. So this happened to me between the ages of about 12 and 15, and then there was one further event when I was 19. I didn't realise what had happened to me was sexual abuse until probably my late 20s. But I was living on my own then, and I thought my parents wouldn't be able to deal with it if I told them. And I just thought, oh, you're just going to have to take it to the grave with you. When I started looking into what are the effects of being sexually abused as a child, I remember seeing this list of things, and they were like, oh my God, that's I have problems with that and I behave like that sometimes. And that's when I disclosed it to my wife, and then it was about a year later that I decided to come forward to the police.
The Essex Police Quest team deal with non-recent abuse, child abuse, within the family, extended family, or anyone in a position of trust. And the non-recent has to be over a year old.
We ended up at Southend Police Station, and I just put a brief little handwritten note under the counter to the receptionist, and she was really good. She took us straight away into a quiet room round the side. And there is a team that deals with sexual offences there, and a sergeant came down and spoke to us and took some details. Yeah, and then it was passed on to Quest, and then they took it over.
Once they make that phone call or they come into a police station and report it, we can just explain the process. Doesn't mean they have to go ahead with it. I think some people think, oh, the minute I've actually told you, even if we report that crime, record it, doesn't mean you have to go through with it.
I made some notes of all the things I wanted to say, and a diagram of his house and his room where it all happened, and we just kind of ran through those in the interview, and then Emily took those away as evidence afterwards. I think we were probably there for 2 hours in the first interview. So there's no pressure to get it all out. If someone reaches a point in an interview is I'm done for the day, I can't handle anymore, then that's fine. It's be done at your pace. And you'll probably get asked stuff and you won't be able to remember if it's historic, or you won't know the answer. And that's fine. That's not a slight on you. Just say, well, I can't remember that, or I don't know that. And that's absolutely fine. That's nothing to worry about. But as long as you just say what's happened to you, if you just tell the truth and stick to the truth, then you'll be fine.
I've been on child abuse teams for 13 years now, so you really get to understand the impact it has on people. Working with a lot of victims, you understand the support they need, how important it is to keep them updated. We will always speak to them at least once a month, if not more often, to update them if there's been arrests, interviews, any sort of significant events throughout the investigation. I will always speak straight away to a victim about what support they might need, that there's the ISVA service, independent sexual violence advisors, that are really good, will offer really good support service. They don't want to talk to you about the actual allegation as such, just the impact it's had on you. Just for someone to meet for a coffee, they've got the time to sit and just offer you that support throughout. And they can go through the trial with you, that we can apply to the judge so that the ISVA can actually sit right next to you in court, and some people find that really helpful.
Emily was fantastic. She was always there if you wanted to ask her anything or to speak, and she'd try and keep you updated as best she could. So having your family and having someone, a detective like Emily, fighting your corners, a massive deal, and they're going to get to know everything about what happened to you and your life and why you've come forward. And they'll treat you with compassion and dignity, and they'll do their best to look after you and point you in the right direction of support services, because I know how difficult it is going to be for you. And then it was about 18 months it took from coming forward to him being charged. yeah, that was a bigger deal, and I know it was a big deal for the Quest team, because Emily said like how pleased they were with the charges that they got, and it turned out that there was more than one person that he'd done this to, so that was a bigger deal.
We've had 100% conviction rate since we've been going, so that's really good. I think a lot of people think, well, how can you get a conviction for something that is historic, that's non-recent? Because we don't have the live evidence like the forensics or the CCTV, for example. But there are a lot of ways of getting evidence that people don't think about. So you might just think, oh, well, there's no evidence, I've never told anyone. But actually, once we then start getting that account from the victim, we can then figure out that actually we might be able to go back to some records and get some evidence to back up one part of the account they've given us. And that might just be enough to tip the balance for it to be a successful prosecution.
I'd definitely say I never thought when we walked into that police station that he would end up being in prison for 17 and a half years now. That was like way off the radar. But I think that's a good approach to have. Keep your expectation levels low, but know that you are going to have an effect on the person's life. Even if all that happens is someone from Quest goes and interviews them, then as far as they're concerned, the cat's out of the bag, isn't it? Their dirty little secret that they've got isn't a secret anymore. It is only now, a few months down the line after he's been put in prison, that you kind of realise how much of an effect, like the process of coming forward and waiting for a trial and trial had on you, like that burden lifted from you. Even if it doesn't go to trial, even if all that happens is he gets interviewed, it might stop him doing it to one more person. And if that's all that happens, then you have achieved something.
If child sexual abuse has happened to you, then I would urge you to come forward. Do call us. We will work with you and we will support you and we will try and get justice for you.